I don't know how many of you know this, but I actually have really bad motion sickness. If I ride in the passenger seat of a car for more than 5 minutes, I get a tummy ache. I start feeling yucky, like I want to puke. If I bend down to pick up like a dog toy too quickly, I'll get immediately sick. Like my motion sickness is awful. But I wasn't always such a weak, fragile, tarnished specimen that I am today. And it's not something that just developed naturally. We all understand that aging is cringe. There's nothing more embarrassing than getting older. Because as you get older, things just start breaking down, shit doesn't work the way it used to. It sucks. But I didn't develop motion sickness just because I started to become like a geriatric old man or anything. I can trace back the day I developed motion sickness, a day that changed my life. It was a day spent at a theme park with a friend of mine named Andrew, a friend that you probably know from YouTube as Hugbees of How It's Actually Made fame. Him and I have been friends for about a decade now, and back when I was around 18 or 19, we decided we'd have a little fun out in the sun for a day, and we took a trip to Busch Gardens, Tampa, Florida. For those that don't know, Busch Gardens is an amusement park, kind of like Universal Studios or Disney World. It's just like a giant theme park with roller coasters and shit. But the theme is Florida Man. And it's a pretty fun park, actually. I used to love Busch Gardens. They had all kinds of like weird and wacky foods back in the day. And I used the term food lightly. There was one spot in there that would sell basically just fried grease. Just like actual fried motor oil. So you just take a bite and it was just nothing but oil and grease that just blew up your mouth. I used to love that kind of shit, just little grease pops or whatever. Just a scrumptious little treat. One time I even saw a dude full-blown cranking his hog in the parking lot, just really jerking his meat, pretty tough out there. So Busch Gardens could get wild, but it was a park I always enjoyed going to. But the main appeal of Busch Gardens was roller coasters, as well as animals, because it kind of like doubled as a zoo. They had a lot of animals there, so there was a lot to do. It was a very interesting theme park. It still exists. I just don't go anymore. We'll get to that in a second. But the thing is, the main appeal of the park was thrill seeking. It had some really cool roller coasters, especially for its size. Busch Gardens isn't like massive or anything, at least not compared to the big boys. It's a pretty small, relatively speaking, amusement park, but it had some dope ass roller coasters. And I was an adrenaline junkie when I was younger. I used to love roller coasters. I used to think that shit was amazing. They had one at Busch Gardens called Montu where it had you going like 90 miles per hour the entire time. Felt like you were traveling through different dimensions. Felt like I was Barry Allen about to turn back the clock on the world going backwards in time. It was nuts. It was so fast. And I loved it. I used to be a huge roller coaster guy. And Andrew was too. And so when we went to Busch Gardens, Andrew had this great idea of riding like every roller coaster there twice or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was riding every roller coaster there an absurd amount of times, which to me wasn't anything uncommon because I'd done that before. Busch Gardens never really had huge lines or anything. It was never like Disney World where things had a 40, 50-minute wait. You could usually just line up and be on the ride within 10 minutes. So I used to ride roller coasters multiple times. Like SheiKra was their big one. It has like 90-degree drop and you just go straight to hell. It had a lot of big roller coasters and I'd ride them multiple times in a trip. So when Andrew pitched this idea of like, let's go absolutely fucking insano style, let's get outrageous today with the amount of roller coasters we were gonna do, I was like, yeah, I'm gung ho, I'm down. Let's get crazy, let's get wacky. Little did I know that decision was gonna change my life forever. So it's about 3 hours into the day. We've rode a ton of roller coasters and we're still planning to ride more. And I, at this point, had never really experienced bad motion sickness. Occasionally, I would get like sick in a long trip in the car or something if I was trying to like read a book or whatever. But I never actually got motion sickness. And around this time, like my stomach was feeling a little weird, so we got some food in order to try and like settle my stomach. Didn't really do much, but I didn't want to ruin the day, so we kept riding roller coasters. It kept getting worse. But then we decided to ride the wooden roller coaster. I think it was called Gwazi. It was this roller coaster made out of the oldest wood imaginable. I wouldn't be surprised if it was wood used on Davy Jones' ship back in the fucking 1400s or whatever. Just like this old driftwood, they made a roller coaster out of it, and it was cool. You definitely felt that sense of danger, like anything could happen. It could collapse at any moment. That shit looked like plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy. It wasn't like high quality wood. It was terrifying, but I liked the ride. Andrew liked the ride, and we rode it, I think, once or twice. I don't remember. But after riding it at either the second time or it might have even been the first time now, I don't remember. I got so unbelievably sick. I was stumbling out of the roller coaster exit. I didn't puke or anything. I couldn't puke. My body wouldn't let me. It was holding on to like any bit of nutrient or anything that it could. I was stumbling, falling over myself, like slurring my speech, telling Andrew like something's wrong here. And Andrew's like, "No, I'll tell you what's wrong. It's called you being a pussy. We still have to ride Scorpion next." So I was like, "Yeah, he's probably right. That's probably what it is. I'm just suffering from a bit of sore butthole from being a sad piece of shit." So I was like, I was just following him the best I could, the Scorpion, while I'm very much struggling to keep my balance. We finally make it to Scorpion, which is another roller coaster. It's a really small one. It's like a 45-second roller coaster at most. And I was like, I can do it. I can muscle through this. So we're walking towards the entrance, and I fucking collapse. I fall to the ground onto my knees, and I'm fucking delirious from how sick I feel. Andrew was like mad at me. He's like, "Charlie, you're ruining my day. What are you doing? Stop with this tomfoolery. This is childish. Pick yourself up. We got a roller coaster to ride." And I am struggling. I told him to like just ride it without me, like don't let me ruin your day, go have some fun or whatever. And he's like, "Okay, I'll go ride it myself." So Andrew just fucking leaves me there on the actual pavement outside of a gift shop near Scorpion. I didn't make it all the way to the entrance. There's like a little gift shop on the way. And I'm just lying there literally like almost face down. I'm on my knees, hunched over, and no one's even stopping to check on me. I'm sure employees could see me. I'm right outside of a gift shop. I am over there like clinging to life the best I can. The world is spinning. I am absolutely having a rough go of it. And I eventually do lay down, like full blown just lay down out there on the pavement. And I took a nap. I don't think I like blacked out or fainted or anything because I distinctly remember like putting my arm out and like laying down and going to sleep, hoping that when I wake up, Andrew would be off the coaster and I'd be feeling better. So I take a nap. I just KO for like, I don't know, however long it took Andrew to get there, maybe like 10 minutes. He wakes me up, probably thinking I was a corpse at this point, but no one even bothered to check. I mean, I guess it is Florida, so you shouldn't be surprised to see corpses just on the side of the road and I guess in amusement parks because no one bothered to look after me or make sure I was okay. So I'm just laying there. Andrew wakes me up. And luckily, I did feel a little bit better, and he had enough of his roller coaster rides for the day. He's like, "Okay, we can just go now." So we left, and later that night I started feeling better. But what happened as a result was a lifelong change. I developed severe motion sickness from that. I never really had bad motion sickness before that day, but afterwards, I got it bad and still do have it bad. I can't ride roller coasters anymore at all. I can't even ride like the kiddie coasters. I get sick if I try and like skateboard a little too fast or like try and do like quick movements on a basketball court or something. I'll make myself really dizzy and feel yucky. Like I said, riding in a car for like more than 5 minutes as a passenger, I get sick feeling. Driving doesn't really trigger it for me, but when I'm a passenger in the front or back, I just start to get sick just when we're moving for too long. And all because of one day at an amusement park where a friend of mine and I decided we're going to ride a lot of roller coasters and go crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story because I recently got reminded of it by Andrew. He brings it up like once every year, just like, "Hey Charlie, remember when we went to Busch Gardens that one time and I can't ride roller coasters anymore?" Yeah, it kind of fucking sucks, doesn't it? I was actually riding a roller coaster like 2 months ago. Yeah, you would have loved it. So he brings it up occasionally and it reminds me, and I just thought I'll share the whole story here and maybe someone can learn something from it. Like, hey, don't push yourself too hard, right? You don't want to go too hard in the paint. Maybe just play it a bit easy. Listen to your body. Nature will tell you what needs to be done. Maybe you don't need to ride a roller coaster 100 times in a day. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.